Beyonce has finally won Album of the Year at the Grammys. Not only did she win Album of the Year, she won Country Album of the Year. I want to talk about the excellence that is Beyonce and how you can use that and use her as motivation, sort of say. I saw an interview afterwards where, one of the reporters was asking her how she felt. And like she said, it's been 25 years. Now, we all know the Queen should have won at least full album of the years at the Grammys by now, right? The thing is, she always not only continued to work hard despite the mistreatment, despite, how different people in the industry looked at her and treated her. She continued to grind. I remember watching Homecoming live. I believe YouTube was streaming it at the time, if I'm not mistaken. You hear me? When she did Coachella, and watching that entire production, and was like, dang, that's tight. Like, and then to watch the Netflix special and watch all the behind the scenes, it lit a spark in me. Like, man, like, you hear me? You remember and like Mike, when he looked down at his shoe, like, I was like, make me like B. Because her work ethic is unmatched. No matter how tough the critics have all been, how loud the critics have all been through the years, Beyonce has stayed true to who she was, and at the same time constantly elevating herself and reinventing herself. Cowboy Carter has meant so much to me. Like, literally, it was my top listen to album of any album, and my top listen to music of any music on my Apple wrap up. You heard me for last year, because that album was so beautiful. There's a guy on TikTok, and his intro is Beyonce is a genius and Cowboy Carter is a masterpiece. And when I tell you, that describes it so perfectly for me, because it's something about that album that just kind of like it hits, it makes you feel so inspired. Like, man, Beyonce made a country album. Not only did she make a country album, it's an amazing album. It's so many emotions and feels. Like, there's parts of it you feel proud, you feel, sad, happy, you want to dance. But I want you to use her as inspiration to keep going, no matter how hard it gets, no matter how loud the critics are. You keep being you and keep being great. And not only Beyonce, but can we talk about Doechii at the Grammys last night? I saw a video a few weeks ago, and then I started to see it again, today, about how just a few short years ago, she had lost her job and everything, you hear me? And like, she just was like, hey, I'm just going to go to these record labels and see if they got like internships or whatever. Let's fast forward a few years, and she's won a Grammy. Like, that's crazy. Use Doechii as inspiration. Her speech to my sisters out there. Listen to that on repeat. You hear me? Because at the end of the day, sometimes it's hard to keep going. Sometimes we feel like, life is just too much. And especially in the recent month, like last month was a lot. There was a lot that happened in January with the inauguration and all of that foolishness. And man, it just seemed like stuff just like not going right. You know what I mean? Like, to the point where it's like you just kind of want to give up. And I can't speak for everybody else, but I can speak for me. And like, I'm not gonna lie to you, like I was up until last night when I watched, Doechii and Kendrick all literally literally just kind of get they dues at the Grammys last night. I was in a slump. I'm not even gonna lie to you. You hear me? Like, I just felt defeated. I was ready to give up on this podcast. I was ready to throw in the towel with my business, with my clothing brand. And I'm, ready to tap out with social media. Like, just feeling in a slump to the point like my wife even noticed, like, hey, you good? Like, you ain't been yourself lately. You hear me? And like, I just was down because I'm like, man, like, I feel like not just me, but as a country, like, we just walking backwards with everything that's been going on and everything that's been happening. And it's like, how can you continue to press forward? You know what I mean? And then, like, literally after B won album of the year, I kid you not, it was like a fire just kind of ignited. It was almost like a boost that I needed. It was like that thing that just kind of gave me a little bit more oomph. And I'm like, you know what? I'm good. I'm gonna be all right. And like, I smiled from ear to ear all last night. Watching K Dot, you know, literally sweep last night, and like when everything that he was old for Not Like Us. Watching Doechii's speech, her performance, and everything. It was like I needed that little boost, that little mood booster. You hear me? Like, I needed something to tell me to keep going. And that's why I'm sitting here today recording this podcast episode. You hear me? And I want to encourage you to go back and watch the clips from Beyonce winning to Kendrick, winning his awards and stuff like that. Man, like, dig a little deeper, keep going. Go watch Beyonce's Homecoming. Like, we sometimes, it's okay to feel those emotions and to feel some type of way and it get down, but man, you got to get back up and keep going. You got to find your inspiration from somewhere. You got to be able to, you know, allow yourself to feel, allow yourself to be down for a little bit, but you got to figure out how to pull yourself back out. And honestly, up until last night, I didn't know how long that slump was going to last. I didn't know if I was going to be able to pull myself up because, like, I was really discouraged. I really was discouraged. Some of my content being suppressed on certain platforms. And that's in anybody that's a content creator or that's on social media really trying to pursue this thing, you know how that feel. Like, my content just not moving like I would like it to. So I've been discouraged. I've been a little upset about it, a little depressed. Yeah, man. And every time I think about giving up, every time I feel like I'm at that point, and I think this time I was so close to just tapping out until last night, man. It was something about seeing that black joy, that black happiness, that black excitement that just kind of lit a fire under me. Like, man, you can't give up. Somebody looking up to you, somebody looking at you, somebody following you that you don't know following you. And they looking. You inspiring somebody. And that's what I want y'all to remember, is that you inspiring somebody. Even if it's just maybe one or two people that look at your content, that's two eyes on your content. That's people that look at you with like, with some type of excitement. They getting something out of it. And you got to keep going. And that's why with B, no matter the critics over the years, the media over the years, how poorly they treated her, you heard me? Like, she continued to just elevate herself from not being even acknowledged at the CMAs to literally winning country album of the year at the Grammys and album of the year finally for her country album. That's Chef's Kiss. That is icing on the cake. You can't cheat the art. You can't cheat music. Beyonce is the epitome of greatness. And a lot of times, especially as men, you look at other brothers and stuff like that, and you can be like, "Oh man, so and so inspired me." But like, I'm not gonna lie, Beyonce is a whole nother level of inspiration. Like her work ethic, the way she performs. Like when you see her perform live, and like the it's like how you performing. I was on there night after night like this, and like you doing it flawlessly. So like let that be something you look to. Let her be somebody you look to. And brothers, y'all can look to her for inspiration. Like find that thing, man. If you need to pick me up, if you need a reminder why you should keep going, look at the people who are doing it. They talked about Kendrick for years, how he only dropped every 3 years, or you don't see him often or whatever. And man, like whenever he do drop or did drop, it was always a masterpiece. It was always a greatness. And then you look at we gonna be coming up on a year this summer, and not like us still gonna be rolling. Gen Next still gonna be rolling. You heard me? Like, look at those people, because even the critics for Dot and the critiquers, how they talk about how he not consistent in this, that, and the third, but the man is a genius, and he's never let anyone knock him off his square. And that's what you got to remember. Don't let people knock you off your square. Don't let people, trick you out of your spot and make you move faster than you want to move, get you down. And that goes for yourself too. Don't let you trick you. Because sometimes I feel like we get caught up in our mind. We get caught up in ourselves because we're looking at everything around us, and things not moving as fast as we like it to, or things not, progressing as quick as we would like it to. You're looking at the people around you. Comparison is a thief of joy, but we look at people. It's a human nature. You look at the people around you and you're like, oh man, like so-and-so got it going on. You hear me? Like, you see people that started after you get ahead of you. You doing all of this content and editing to the gods. Like the content looks fantastic. You providing educational content, funny content, whatever it may be, and it's just not doing numbers. Man, your time coming, and you got to remember that. Your time coming. You don't let people rush your process. You don't let people dictate how fast you move and how you move. And don't you dictate that. Like, if you have a goal, you stick to it and you follow your plan. Don't rush it, but set timelines, set goals. But don't start comparing yourself to what you start to rush you. Be consistent and be realistic with yourself. But don't give up. No matter what you do, don't give up. It ain't always going to be easy. Things ain't going to always work out the way we want them to. But man, just stick to it. Just think, had, Beyonce stopped making music after she was snubbed the second time or the third time for albums for awards she clearly should have won. Just think about if Kendrick just stopped putting out music completely because people talk the way they talk about how he put out his music and how he choose to move and put out his art. Just imagine if Doechii just was like, I ain't dealing with it. You hear me? Like, I lost my job. I'm not gonna do this music thing, because she was down on herself. And I'm sure she probably went through the emotions too during that time period. But she didn't give up. And you can't give up on yourself, man. Like, it's Black History Month. Like I said, I smiled from ear to ear last night up until like 1 o'clock in the morning, like until I went to bed. And then I got up this morning, prayed, you hear me, and started smiling from ear to ear again, and found that spark that I needed. And I was back at it today, creating content, and making sure things was good with the business. So I encourage you to do the same, man. Like figure out where your inspiration is and pull from it. Sometimes we just need a little push, a little reminder. And my reminder was the Grammys last night. So, I appreciate you for tuning in for another episode of a Quick Little Word podcast. It's your boy Chris Wright, and I hope that you continue to believe in yourself, you trust yourself, and you don't give up on you. No matter how hard it gets, no matter how difficult it may get, and no matter how long it takes, remember that you have a goal. There's only a plan A, there's no plan B. Pause. Nah, I'm kidding. But again, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to check out the description for all of the links and everything like that. And happy Black History Month to all of my brothers and sisters out there. And until next time, peace, love, and happiness.